Alright, welcome back to the channel. Here's Candy, our 2000 Ford Escort. Let's look at the cylinder head off, and we're replacing that. At the same time, we're going to upgrade our rear brakes. We've been wanting to do this for years. Our rear brakes, we discovered, are just not really doing anything for us as far as stopping, not surprisingly. So we ended up getting these off eBay. This is a rear disc brake off of a 91 to 95 Escort GT, and really all I want, I got new rotors, I got new calipers for it, new hub as well, so we're not using any of that. What I really need is this section here. I need this spindle knuckle, so we're going to swap that out here. In full disclosure, I already did the other side, so I knew how to do it properly. And I'll show you how to put this on here and do a rear disc conversion on your ZX2. Alright, I'm going to start by taking off, hopefully you can see this. This is the rear bleeder. I already loosened this. It's a 8mm. I've taken this off because it's easier to get to the brake line to get that off. And then the brake line is a 10mm, and we'll get that off of there. Now I pre-soaked these already with some oil, knowing that they were going to be difficult to get off. I didn't, brake lines are always difficult to get off anyway. And I recommend using this stuff. This works really good. I had a mechanic tell me about this. I soaked everything down already so that all this stuff should be easy to get off of here, but it works really, really well. Alright, I got that loosened up. Brake line, I'm going to take this clip off and bust my knuckles. Just put that to the side, and then this should just come right out. We got some stainless steel braided lines that we're going to be swapping those out with for safety purposes. And then my brake line should come out. I'm just going to stick this in there in case anything is leaking out of it. Alright, so the primary bolts we need to get out. We need to get this one out, and there's one on the bottom side. Let me see if I can see it better here. Alright, so this one, so those two. And then we need to take this nut off, which this bolt is a real pain to get out. It goes the entire length and it comes out over here. And then the trailing arm, see if I can get the camera in there. The trailing arm is right down in here. And we got to get this nut off of there. I'm also going to take these two lateral links off, this one and this one. They're really easy to get off. It's just a bolt up there and back here, and then we'll be able to take everything off. I need to take these off anyway because I got to get this whole spindle knuckle off of there. You don't need to take this off because I'm just going to take the whole thing out of there anyway. I will need to get these ARP bolts out of there though, because we need to use these for the race car, and the stock ones that come with a new hub are really tiny, so I need these long ones for the race tires. So we'll get to work on that, and I'll show you how to get all this off. Alright, so the nice thing is almost all of these, with the exception of one, are all 17mm. So this one's 17. These two up here are 17. You can barely see that one. This is 17 as well. And then this one in the back is 17. So I'm going to pop all those off. Yeah, that one's not budging. I'm going to have to juice that one a bit. That's going to require a breaker bar. All right, when in doubt, use leverage. There it goes. There it goes. That one I already got. Let's try this one. There it goes. Okay. Alright, so this top strut nut is still, it's not cooperating. So I'm going to see if I can get it off the breaker bar again. There we go. Alright. Alright, just to recap, I think I said there was 4 bolts we had to get out. That's true, but I'm taking these out as well. So this one, that one is already loose. I just got to take it out. These 2 for the strut, and then the one up here that is a real pain to get off. The whole bolt, we'll get to that later. And then this one back here, which is for the trailing arm. So that's 6 total, but really you only needed to, if you just want to take that off, then you only need to take those 4 off. So this whole thing should come out now, and then we're going to work on this bolt, because this one's the one that's the really hard one to get out. I can get the lower control arm out. Okay, that's just going to sag. Okay, now that's all laying down. So you can see I needed to get this loose in order to get this off of here. Now everything can come out. And now this is the bolt that needs to come out. So it runs the entire length of this, and man, I had a bear getting the other one out, and I'll show you how I did it. I actually had somebody help me out that knew what they were doing, but I watched what he did, and I'm gonna try and replicate that. Alright, so here's that bolt again, and I think the key to this is we're gonna be patient. We're gonna put this on, and we're gonna let it soak. I'm gonna let it soak for a while, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm probably gonna put some heat here and here, and we're gonna try and get it to go. Probably going, why don't you just try right now? I'm almost guaranteed this thing is frozen solid, but I'm gonna put a socket on it. I'll test it, but I'm gonna go ahead and lube it up quick with that. We'll come back and see. This is a 22 millimeter. What I got on here. This is not budging. And I don't want to keep doing that because the last one, like I said, I already did that side. I don't want to tear this up. So I'm gonna be patient with this, go slow, use some heat, use the penetrating oil, hit it with a hammer, and then we're gonna get this out of there. Okay, so I put it up on end. I'm trying to get this penetrating oil to come through here, and I wanted to see if it would. I used some brake clean real quick and clean this off. Plus, when I finally get it to go through here, you want this to be as smooth as possible. So I'm gonna put some oil on here in a minute, but I want to see if this penetrating oil was actually getting through here, and it's not. And here I highly doubt it is getting down here as well. So I'm gonna keep using penetrating oil, and then I'm gonna put some heat to these two here and see if we can't get this thing to come out. But it's gonna be a process. It doesn't come out, you know, on the first couple tries. But she's seized in there pretty good. This side of the bolt that I had cleaned off had spun all the way around, so finally came loose. I'm gonna put a impact wrench on here. That wasn't doing anything, and the breaker bar worked a lot better. So finally got it to just move 1/4 of an inch, and then I was able to get some oil in there, and that seemed to penetrate in there and get in there. So you can see it dripping out down there. But we'll get the impact on here, see if I can't spin it off. You can see I got a bit of a gap here now. I just went ahead and hit this with a hammer. I got that nut flush up against there. I bought new bolts, so I'm not gonna reuse these. What I really need is that lateral arm, and I need this bushing that runs through here. So just hitting this, it's starting to come out. You can see it's getting hot up there. Stuff's falling. There it goes. Got it out. Finally. Whew, that was a bear. That was 2 days to get that out. Alright, so here's this bolt. Finally got it out. Look at how long this thing is. So, it's coming out there. You can see how much, I mean, that's just rust and grime and everything. It's got a long way to travel through this metal, so any bit that's, you know, seized up or anything, that's really hard to get off of here. Let me wipe this off and I'll show you. Alright, so here's that bolt. Hey, look at that. Let's see if we wipe this off and see what we get. Well, it still looks pretty dark, but there's all that rust and grime that got just stuck in there. The penetrating oil finally got in there. I think that's my only saving grace, getting this thing out of here. But in reality, this is what we needed, and I needed it intact. This bushing's a bit beat up, but unfortunately they don't sell them anymore. I can't find them. And if I grab one off a junkyard, it's probably going to be about the same, but it's not slopping around or anything like that. It just looks a bit torn up on this side. So the other one looked about the same, so I'm just going to have to reuse these. Okay, we're back over here on the passenger side rear. Like I said, I already did the driver's side just so I could show you how to do this correctly. So this is the old drum brake. This is the bolt we had so much trouble getting out. And if you look at the distance here, it doesn't look the same as the distance here on this one. So what we have to do is take this out, and then when we put this one in, I bought this at my local hardware store. It's just a steel bushing that I drilled out to 14 millimeter. And if you stick this on there like that, and then put this in there, now the distance that we needed for this is now taken up with that, and when this all tightens down, the geometry works. So we're gonna go ahead and reassemble everything and show you how to put the final parts all together. Alright, so one thing we've been wanting to do is we've been wanting to replace our brake lines with these steel braided ones because it's better for racing in case we get anything that nicks a brake line. And our brake lines are just the OEM ones. They're pretty old, so we're going to swap those out. If you notice, I already put the sway bar back in here. These are really hard to get in, so I recommend doing that first. So to get that brake line changed out, I'm using the 10mm on here, and I already sprayed it down and got it to move just a hair. I really didn't want to round the corner on it. So yeah, it's going. Alright, so here's our braided brake line. We're going to connect this end, and if you notice, it's kind of curved over here, and then the other sides are flat. There's some tabs right here, so this should slide right in, and the tabs kind of lock it in place like that. Alright, I got that threaded. I just got it hand tight. I'm actually going to use this 10mm open end wrench because it seemed to work better than the one that's made specifically for brake lines. Let's see if I can get it from this side. Okay, that's in. And then I'm going to put the retaining clip back in as well. Now the reason why I'm doing this right now is I've got a lot of room to work here, and I can get to it easily, so I want to get this in place. Alright, obviously this is the old disc that I purchased online, and we need this section here. So I'm going to undo the these are already loosened up. These are 14mm. And you put that to the side because I can reuse those. This is the hub. This already loosened as well. We don't need this. And we're going to put a new nut on there as well. That just came off nice and easy. So this is the part that we need. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a bit. I'll be right back. Alright, so here it is cleaned up. I cleaned up the hub. It just had some surface rust on it. I used brake clean on it and cleaned that up. And then the lower control arm here just had some surface rust on it. I took a wire brush to that. Use brake clean on that. We're not going to paint anything just because it's a race car and we could end up crashing the car, and then we have all these pretty painted pieces on it, which doesn't really make any difference. So, alright, now we're ready to start putting things back together again. So, I connect this first. These are the bolts that came off of the old drum spindle. We're going to reuse these because they fit our shock, and they also fit on this. The ones that came off of here are a little bit smaller, so you want to make sure you reuse these. And I'm just going to put these in hand tight right now for assembly, and then we'll come back and torque everything down. Alright, so we're going to put this lateral control arm in. There's another one up front I'm going to show you here in a second. This is going to go back in there, and it's going to connect here as well. And that's where we're going to use that bushing. Now I went and bought new bolts. Somebody had them on eBay for like 20 bucks, so I bought new ones because the ones that I took out, which are looking pretty rough, I ended up boogering up the end pretty bad, hitting it with a hammer. So I just want to have new bolts for that, and we'll get this installed. This is the piece that you use for setting the toe. Make sure you put that in first. We're gonna go get the car aligned. So this goes in like that, and it cams. I think this was set up here actually. So we're gonna put it right there. I'm gonna get as close as I can, and then go get it aligned. We'll have them set it properly. All right, now we're gonna put the long bolt in on the two lateral arms here and here. I left the trailing arm off for now because it messes up the geometry a bit on this, so we're gonna put that in last. It's easier to get this big bolt in with that trailing arm still disconnected. So bolt with washer, put that in there, and we got to put our spacer in. And get this to line up. Here comes the other side. Alright. And we'll just use a little bit of tickle stick here to help get in there. There we go. Okay, got it through the other side. Washer and nut. Again, I'm just going to put this on hand tight for now because we still got to get this trailing arm in, which is next. Alright, trailing arm should just go right on. Help that out just a little bit. Trailing arms on. Nut with the washer. Once again, hand tight, and then we'll come back and we'll tighten everything up to spec. Alright, we've got everything installed. Now it's time to tighten everything up. I'll tell you the torque settings that I got right out of the Chilton manual. These are all 17s. Just want to show you this lower arm one more time here. You can see everything's snugged up really nice. This metal bushing I used is exactly the same size as the rubber that's here, and there's actually metal inside that, so it's resting up right up against it. I think that's going to work perfect. Alright, so I'm going to torque everything. This is out of, I said Chilton's, this is a Haynes, but it's got all of the rear suspension torque settings, so I'm going to use those, and I'll tell you what those are as I go. Alright, in no particular order, I'm just going to start with these, the two strut bolts that connect onto the spindle. These are, in the book, it's rated from 76 to 100, so I'm going to do them to about 90. Alright, this nut here and the one in the back, in the book it's got it set to 69 to 94. I set mine to 85. Alright, I can't get a really good shot of this trailing arm nut, but the torque set's from 69 to 94, so I have it set to 85. Alright, and then they have this, the long bolt, here going through the spindle. They have that 76 to 100, so I have this set to 90. Alright, we got everything assembled. So you got the rear lateral arm, spindle, you got the front lateral arm, trailing arm, and we put a new brake line in here. Now we're going to put the, we put the anti-sway bar back on. I did that earlier. So now we're going to put the caliper on, hook up the brake line, and then we're going to put the hub on with the rotor, and we're almost done. Alright, so new brake rotor. I just bought this at Napa. Remember, this is, even though it's going on a 2000 ZX2, this is a 91 to 95 Escort GT rear brake rotor. So I'm just going to clean this off with a little bit of brake clean. Now you can see there was quite a bit on there just from the oil that the manufacturer puts on there. Alright, let's get our hub. So this is our hub. I don't know if I explained before, we're using longer wheel studs because we need it for the tires that we run. We're running 15-inch, and you're also going to see an offset that I put on here. So you're going to match the holes up so that they line up with these nuts that are going to go on here. And I'll put these on. These I just took off of the rear disc, or the rear drum brakes. It's the same thing. These will go on here. I don't know if there's any specific torque setting for these, but I just tightened them on. Alright, new wheel nut. I'm just going to put that on right now just to hold everything in place. Alright, brake caliper. That's going to go right up over here, like so. Alright, new brake calipers. We're going to put new pads on it as well. It's got these little slides that go on here, and they're kind of a pain to get in. I think it's easiest to turn this over. This little tab needs to go underneath here, and if you can see these two little tabs right there, they kind of lock into place just like that. And now we're going to get the brake pads put in. Alright, so for the rear one, I'm going to come in from underneath, and it's got these little hooks on top that are going to ride on top of here. I'm going to put a little bit more grease here because this is actually where they're going to be sliding the majority of the time, back and forth. So I'm going to come up from underneath here, and there's space that you can slide these in and get them to go up over top. That one's in place. Now to get the front one, I collapse this as far as it would go. And you can see you can kind of get into this gap here. And I'm going to come up from underneath and try and hook these up around the top of this. So I got the one side. There it goes. Alright, and you can see they're both hooked over the top here, and that should be good to go. And I've got a couple retaining clips. There we go. Alright, I've got these brake pads spread apart as far as they'll go, and we're going to go right up over top of the rotor here. And it worked. And then we've got our bolts that we use to secure them. It's the same ones that came off of the Escort GT. I'm just going to get these in so it's fitted. Alright, we're going to do the final couple steps here. This is our new brake line. Feed that through, and then retaining clip goes in. And then this is going to come down here. And 2 copper washers you need to put in. Get your special brake bolt with the hole in it. And I'll tighten that down. And that's 12 millimeter. Alright, last step is we're going to tighten down that hub nut we just hand put on there before. The size of this is a 32 millimeter, and the torque settings on this is 130 to 174, so I'm going to do 160, kind of in the middle there. Alright, well that's it. That's the final part of this rear disc brake conversion on a ZX2. And if you're still here, thank you for watching all the way to the end. We hope this helps you out with your project. We were able to test the car at Daytona. We did a 14-hour race there, and the brakes worked great. We still have plenty of material on the front and the rear brakes, and that's what we were looking for with this brake conversion. I'd like to apologize if I called a nut a bolt or vice versa. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. Like and subscribe to the channel, please. And once again, thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and... What did I do here now? Get the wheel back on. And the car's not high enough.